last three bullet points on the list for Native American religions. So their view on death, they have this great creator that they believe in that have placed them here. And for them, the world is a learning experience. So it's kind of like this journey that they go on. And the great creator has sent them with gifts and instructions on what to do. So like he told them they have to be, say, the chaplain in the tribe and talk about what he has done for them. And then say he told another one to be the chief of the tribe. That's what the instructions meant. And then during this time on Earth, his plan is also for them to show others his teachings and tell them about how good he is. And then in the end, they believe that they're going to make a journey to the other world. So before this journey, they must learn lessons and go through the tests and trials of life. And this will allow them to make a successful journey, but they must not hasten their journey. They must take it nice and slow and go through the world and experience every part of it. Now, their view on sin and wrongdoing, I could not find much for this, since it's not really part of, it's not really a Catholic teaching in their religion. So they believe that sin that has been done can be forgiven, but if a sin is grave enough or a wrongdoing is great enough that it can't be forgiven, and the only way to be forgiven is to be sacrificed to a creator. So that's kind of two sides of that. There's not really much else to that. And then they do have sacred writings. The natives had tales such as the Path of the Rainbow and the Soul of the Indian. These stories tell about how the Indians grow and are given tasks in their lives to do. And then it also tells what happens when they're on their journey to the other side. Now, the sacred grounds portion of this, the natives have sacred grounds, and they have such as burial land and places they travel to have dances and spirits and spiritual meetings and harvest fests and season changes. They celebrate these at different lands other than their normal hunting lands, and where they would travel to these lands is based on what region of North America they are in. So in the end, to compare this to Christianity, for the most part, the majority of the tribes believe in the same principles as Christianity. There's this great creator that's like our God, and then there's also this path to this journey to the other world that's similar to our journey to heaven. And now this part is they do praise a couple different gods here and there. So for a good harvest, they may pray to Mother Nature or Mother Earth to give them a bountiful harvest so that they can feed their families and all that. That's a little different than us. It's more of a pagan. That more relates to pagan or even Hinduism. And then another disconnect is they sacrifice the sacrifice of the sinful person. No other religion really sacrifices the sinful person to the creator. So I thought those were the disconnects. But other than that, for the most part, it's kind of similar, and you can see where when Christianity came over North America, you can see where that may have had some effect on it. But yeah, so other than that, those are the bullet points, and thanks for watching.
So Kyle and I decided to do our video project on the beliefs of indigenous people of America and the Native Americans. Now, first off, I would like to say that I am very excited to do this because my great-grandfather was himself part Native American, Apache Indian to be precise, and so I just think it is it's very interesting to connect it to my roots, and I just find it fascinating in that respect. So, on the origins of Native American religion, there is no definitive time that we can trace. It's been around for thousands of years. The first interaction that was recorded of it would have to be when Christopher Columbus came to America, and not really discovered America, because there were people who discovered it before him. But when he arrived here, he recorded it, and that's our first interaction with this Native American system of religion. So there is no definitive source or time period that we could trace back to, at least that I could find. And so I did do some extensive research on it, but I could not find.
Hello, nice to have you guys here with me today. So what are you guys' religion?
We're atheists.
Okay. I'm here to ask you guys a couple of questions about your religion. So starting off, when did it begin?
Our religion did not really have a beginning. It's literally just been around forever. It's just the belief that there is no God and hasn't really had a start to it.
Do you guys have any fundamental beliefs?
Our fundamental beliefs, we don't believe in God, we don't follow any tradition, nor do we go to church or have a faith.
Gotcha. Do you guys follow any type of worship or lifestyle?
No, not really. We do not go to church. We do not have worship in temples. We also don't believe in doing good. We don't believe that doing good deeds will give us a reward in heaven or anything like that.
What do you guys' viewpoint on death or the afterlife?
So for the afterlife, we don't believe in we don't believe in what happens next. It's just that we're done and we're gone.
Are there any sacred writings or worship spaces?
No, we don't have a Bible like the church does. We literally do not do anything. We don't go to sacred places. We don't go to temples. It's literally nothing.
So how does your religion compare to other religions like Christianity or others?
So, us being atheists, we don't believe in a God or any kind of God of any sort, and Christianities believe in Jesus Christ and the Lord.
Alright. So that's all the questions we have today. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next time.
I'm here to tell you about the Zoroastrian faith's history. It is an ancient Persian religion that originated about 4,000 years ago. It is arguably the first monotheistic religion and one of the oldest religions still around today. Their founder is the prophet Zoroaster. It's unclear exactly when Zoroaster lived, but most of what is known about him comes from Avesta, which are Zoroastrian scriptures. This religion shaped the Persia Empire. The ruler, Cyrus the Great, was a devout Zoroastrian and ruled by the Zoroastrian law of Asha, though he didn't enforce the religion itself on any of his people. The beliefs were spread across Asia because of the Silk Road. Zoroastrian concepts include the idea of monotheism, heaven, hell, and a judgment day. Later, it became the religion of 3 Persian dynasties until the 7th century during the Muslim conquest of Persia. Followers escaped this conquest by going to India. The conquest decreased Zoroastrianism in Iran, and most of the few that remained converted to Islam. Today, there are roughly 100 to 200,000 worshippers of Zoroastrianism.
Most Zoroastrian people live in Iran and India. About 30,000 people live in Iran, and about 60,000 live around Paris's in India. There are around 200 followers today. A big argument within the religion today is whether or not to accept non-Zoroastrians today. They have a big problem with marriages involving multiple faiths. They are torn apart on whether or not to convert people. This is a surprise due to the fact that the religion is dying quickly, yet they still believe that they should be enclosed and self-secluded from the rest of the world. Most Zoroastrians decide to learn and recite Persian poetry, specifically the Shahnameh. The country of Iran has been a big help to keeping the religion alive. They decide to let in any Zoroastrians, and most of the people in the country do accept them and celebrate their new year.
Zoroastrianism is based around the teachings of the Persian prophet Zoroaster. The date of his birth is highly contested, with Greek sources believing he was born around 6350 BC, Chinese sources citing his birth around 1767 BC, but it is generally assumed that he was born between 1500 and 1200 BC. He was born somewhere in the Persian Empire, and it is highly speculated that Zoroastrianism actually began before any of the four major religions. Zoroastrianism was particularly popular in the Achaemenid Empire led by Cyrus the Great. However, when the Alexandrian Empire conquered Persia, many of the priests were slaughtered. The religion continued through the Sasanian Empire, who actually wanted to unify the followers of Zoroastrianism and made it into the official state religion. Arabs actually invaded the land and mistreated the Zoroastrians, taxing them or even forcing death upon them, and so many of them ran to other lands, including India and British territories. The community in Iran today has actually been extremely successful and interacts very well with the other sects in India.
Sikhism.
Sikhism was founded by Guru Nanak, who was born in 1469.
The fundamental beliefs of Sikhism is that there's only one God who is formless and eternal, and they believe in reincarnation, which is the idea that the soul goes through cycles of births and deaths. And the goal of their lives is to merge with God by living a virtuous life. And they condemn blind rituals like fasting and superstition. And they believe in the full equality of all men and women, regardless of race and
Ways of worship and lifestyle in the Sikhism religion. Narmar, the daily devotion to God, understanding that He's there at all times. Khalsa, the baptized people of the religion. Sikhism requires strict laws, such as no drugs, smoking, alcohol, or gambling, as well as no body piercings. And all people of the religion are required to pray before starting any kind of work.
The Sikh's viewpoint on death is that after you die, you merge back into the universal nature, like a drop of water goes into the ocean. You lose your individuality, and there's no actual heaven or hell in Sikhism. Heaven to them is that you're perfectly in tune with God while on earth, and hell is just the constant cycle of death and suffering, which is caused by the ego while you're alive. So what are the sacred writings and worship spaces in Sikhism? There's the Gurdwara, which is a Sikh temple like the one in the picture. There's the Guru Granth Sahib, which are the sacred scriptures and teachings of the 10 Sikh Gurus, kind of like the founders. And there's the Rahat Maryada, which is the official Sikh code of conduct that all baptized Sikhs must follow. How does Sikhism compare to Christianity? It is similar in that they are both monotheistic. They believe in one God. They also both believe in salvation through grace, worship to God, and good works. And they also believe that sin leads to death, ultimately leads to death and suffering. They are different in that Sikhs don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and there's no sacred day like Sunday or the Sabbath in Judaism. And heaven and hell are not separate dimensions, they're rather states of being. There's also no priest or priestly class, only referred to the sacred Guru Granth Sahib scriptures.
Taoism was started in the year 142 BC. The base belief of Taoism is they believe everyone becomes immortal when practice their rituals and austerities. The belief that Taoists have are that everything is connected within each other's lives. They worship more than one god. The most important one is Yu Huang. He is the highest high god of Taoists. What is its viewpoint on death, sin, or other topics of interest? The process of death itself is described as shije, or release from the corpse. But what happens after is described variously as transformation, immortality, or ascension to heaven. After death, the body fills with spirits and monsters that will protect and guard the body. They view death as a spiritual journey. When people die, they believe they will be led to immortality. The two most important of these texts being the Tao Te Ching and the Huangzi. These texts give an overview of ancient Taoist beliefs. Tao Te Ching is believed to be the oldest and most important of the Taoist texts. Comparing Jesus and Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is understood by his followers to be a human being without any divinity. It isn't even completely clear that Lao Tzu even really existed. He may be a figure of legend only. In Christianity, Jesus is understood to fully human and fully divine. It is in the scripture that Jesus existed and was completely physical. Similarities are like how they were born. They were both born out of extraordinary elements. Christ was born of the Virgin Mary, and Lao Tzu was born of a shooting star, and was evidently 80 years old at his birth. The scriptures of Christianity, incorporating those of its predecessor, Judaism, consist of several different literary formats. Together they tell a story, relating details of the life of the Israelites. Jesus' life, death, resurrection, and ascension, the founding of the Christian church, and some of the church's early struggles. The Tao Te Ching is a small book of less than 100 short sayings, poems, and aphorisms. It gives us no consistent narrative, nor does it provide any information about the early years of the Tao.
Alright, so we're doing Confucianism. So the three essential values are filial piety, humanness, and ritual. Filial piety means loyalty towards one's family. The filial son is expected to take care of his parents and go to any extent to make their wishes come true. Humanness means to be completely human. Go along with your humanity, except that to Confucius, the main objective of being an educator was to teach people to live with integrity.
Confucius was a Chinese philosopher who lived in the 6th century and whose thoughts expressed in philosophy of Confucianism. They have influenced Chinese culture right up to present day. Although Confucianism became the official ideology of the Chinese state, it has never existed as an established religion with the church and priesthood. Chinese scholars honored Confucius as a great teacher and sage, but did not worship him as a personal god, nor did Confucius himself ever claim divinity.
There are 6 main groups, beliefs. It's located in Eastern Asia, the religion. It's practiced mostly in China, Korea, and Vietnam, Taiwan, and righteousness is one of the groups. Yeah, that's what it's called. Honesty and trustworthiness, because you have to have trust in a religion. That's the second one. And the third one, loyalty to the state. You have to have people that are dedicated to your religion. You can't just be halfway believe in religion. You have to fully believe in all their concepts.
And that's Chung.
The fourth one, there's rituals, property, and because all pretty much religions have a ritual you gotta do, like baptism, stuff related to that. Then the fifth one, love within the family, love for parents and for their children. It's also kind of like Christianity, supposed to love your parents. That's a pretty important aspect of a religion. Then the sixth one, it's called Jen, humanness towards one another, so pretty much be kind to everyone, kind of like Christianity.
And that's Jen, and that is Confucianism all wrapped up.